My life would be unrecognizable without my dog's foster family. That's not being dramatic, it's just the truth. They were the first people to show my dog Miso what a gentle hand felt like after he was pulled from a life of neglect. They gave him a safe place to decompress, a warm bed, and the kind of quiet patience he desperately needed to even begin to heal. And giving him that chance, they gave me one too. I just didn't know it yet. Miso, in turn, helped me heal from parts of myself that I thought were permanent. He became the anchor that stopped my world from completely shrinking. For years, I've carried this huge gratitude, this feeling like I owe a beautiful debt to people I've never even met. It's a strange and wonderful thing to have your life so completely changed by the kindness of strangers. But lately, a thought started to creep in. A quiet little idea that's gotten too loud to ignore. What if we're not supposed to repay that debt? What if we're supposed to pay it forward? And so, we've made a decision. A big one, a scary one, an exciting one. We're going to become foster parents. We're going to open up our home, the home that Miso helped me build, to another dog who's waiting for their chance. We want to be for someone else what Miso's foster family was for us. A bridge from a painful past to a hopeful future. Have you ever experienced a moment of kindness so profound that it changed everything? This is that story. This is the real reason why we're fostering a rescue dog. To really get why we're doing this, you have to understand what my life was like before Miso. It's not easy to talk about. Honestly, it feels like another lifetime, like a story about someone else. But it's my story, and it's the foundation for all of this. For a long time, my world was very, very small. It was mostly confined to the four walls of my apartment, and even more than that, to the noisy, looping hallways of my own mind. I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder and began to really struggle with agoraphobia. This wasn't the quirky, I like organizing my pantry kind of OCD you see in movies. It was the debilitating kind. It was a constant hum of intrusive thoughts, fears, and rituals that ran my entire day. My own brain felt like a bully that I could never get away from. Simple things, leaving the house, was an exercise in terror. My agoraphobia wasn't just a fear of open space. It was a fear of, everything. Fear of losing control, of having a panic attack where no one could help me. Fear of being looked at. Fear at the world just being so unpredictable outside my door. So I retreated. My world got smaller every day. First, I started avoiding crowded places. Then certain streets. Then I would only go out at specific safe times. Eventually, it just became easier to not go out at all. The isolation was crushing. It was this heavy, suffocating blanket. Friends would call, and I'd make excuses. My family would want to visit, and I'd invent reasons why it wasn't a good time. I was a ghost in my own life, watching the world happen through a window. That loneliness was a physical ache, but the thought of breaking out of it was even more terrifying. My nervous system was always on high alert, like a frayed wire sparking at the slightest touch. Every single day was a battle to act normal on a work call. A battle to quiet the rituals my OCD was screaming for. A battle just to breathe through the weight of it all. I felt fundamentally broken, like a shattered vase that had been badly glued together. I was just so tired. It was in the middle of all of this exhaustion that the idea of a dog first flickered to life. It wasn't some grand plan. It wasn't about finding a cure. I kind of had given up on that and figured this wasn't my life now. The thought of a dog was much simpler. It was about companionship. It was the idea of having another heartbeat in the silent apartment. A living, breathing creature to share the quiet with. But even that simple thought was immediately attacked by my anxiety. Could I take care of a dog? Me, a person who could barely take care of herself? What if I couldn't walk it because I was too scared to go outside? What if my own mental chaos was too much for an animal? What if I failed it? The thought of failing a living being that depended on me was almost enough to kill the idea right there. I spent months, maybe even a year, stuck like that, wanting a friend, but terrified I was too broken to deserve one or care for one. I was stuck. And I had no idea that dozens of miles away, a little dog was stuck too. While I was trapped in my prison of anxiety, Miso's story was starting in a prison of a very different but no less terrifying kind. I don't know all the details of his early life, and honestly, maybe that's a blessing. The pieces I do know are hard enough. He was a victim of severe neglect. He came from a place with too many dogs and not enough of anything. Not enough care, not enough food, not enough kindness. He was small and scared and practically invisible. When he was finally rescued, he was a wreck. Malnourished, terrified of loud noises and sudden movements, and totally unsure of what a human hand was for, other than something to be afraid of. He was just one of thousands upon thousands of dogs who end up in a desperate situation every year, funneled into a system that is always overwhelmed. This is where the first miracle of his life happened. The rescue that took him in was a foster-based organization, a lot like the one we're now working with. Miso wouldn't go to a loud, stressful shelter. For a dog with his level of trauma, that could have broken him. Shelters do so much good, but they are incredibly stressful. The noise, the confinement, it's tough on any animal, let alone a traumatized one. Instead, he was going to a temporary home. He was going to his foster family. I think about these people a lot. I've built a whole story around them in my head. I picture them as a quiet couple, maybe with a sweet old dog of their own. I imagine them getting the call from the rescue. We have a small one, very scared, needs a quiet place to land. And I imagine they just said yes. They opened their door to this terrified little animal who had zero reason to trust them. They became his bridge. Fostering isn't just giving a dog a roof over its head. It's giving them a safe, supportive space to transition from a traumatic past to a stable future. I picture them putting a soft bed for him in a corner, not pushing him, not forcing anything, but just being there, letting him decompress. Those first few days with a new foster dog can be tough. There can be accidents, pacing, or crying as the dog tries to figure out their new world. His foster family must have had so much patience. They were the ones who sat on the floor, not looking at him, just letting him get used to them. They were the ones who probably figured out his favorite treat, the one thing that could tempt him out of his shell for a second. They were the ones who gently clipped a leash on him and showed him a walk could be an adventure, not something to fear. They taught him that a home was a place of warmth and regular meals. They gave him his first toys, his first soft blanket, his first taste of being cared for. They were giving him the one-on-one love and attention that's often just impossible in a crowded shelter. They were just normal people who made a choice. They chose to open their hearts, knowing that the whole point was to eventually say goodbye. That's the part that hangs so many people up, right? The fear of that goodbye. In fact, it's a huge worry for people who consider fostering. One Canadian report said that 40% of them are afraid they get too attached. But his foster family understood something powerful. The goodbye is the point. It's the victory lap. It means the dog is ready. It means you did it. It means you saved a life and prepared them for their forever home, opening up a spot in your own home to save another. Without them, I have no idea what would have happened to Miso. He might have been labeled unadoptable because of his fear. He might have just shut down, but they built his foundation. They did the slow, patient, often thankless work of convincing a broken little spirit that the world wasn't all bad. They healed his deepest wounds so that someone like me could even have the chance to meet the amazing dog hiding under all that fear. They were his saviors, and by doing that, they were about to become mine. I remember the day I saw his picture online. After months of going back and forth, I'd finally started browsing local rescue sites. I scrolled past so many cute faces, but my anxiety would always kick in and tell me I wasn't ready. And then I saw him. The photo wasn't great. He was huddled in the corner of a dog bed, looking kind of miserable with these big, sad, soulful eyes. The description was honest. It talked about his past, his shyness, his fears, but it also mentioned his gentle soul and his potential to blossom in a quiet, patient home. Something in that description just clicked. A quiet, patient home. That was me. Maybe my quiet, isolated world was exactly what this dog needed. I felt a pull I haven't felt for anything in a very long time. With my heart pounding in my chest, I filled out the application. Less than 24 hours later, he was with me. The day we met is burned into my memory. He was smaller than I thought he'd be. He trembled when I got close and wouldn't make eye contact, hiding behind the adoption coordinator's legs. I didn't push it. I just sat on the floor a few feet away and talked to him in a low voice. I told him about my quiet apartment and how he'd have a comfy bed all to himself. After what felt like forever, he took a few tiny steps forward, stretched his neck out as far as it could go, and gave my hand a quick, nervous snip before darting back. That was it. That was the moment I knew. I was terrified, but I said yes. Bringing him home was an adjustment. That first week was hard, really hard. He spent most of it hiding under the coffee table. He wouldn't eat if I was in the room. He flinched if I moved too quickly. And my own anxiety, which I secretly hoped he would magically fix, went into overdrive. My OCD found new things to worry about. Was he sick? Was he unhappy? Did I make a horrible mistake? I had moments of pure panic, thinking I'd have to call the rescue and admit that I'd failed, confirming my deepest fear that I was just too broken for this. I remember one night, just sitting on the floor and crying, completely overwhelmed, while he just watched at me with those big worried eyes from his hiding spot. And then slowly, almost too slowly to notice, things started to change. It wasn't one big thing, but 1,000 tiny moments. It started with food. He finally ate one full meal with me in the room. Then one evening, instead of hiding, he laid down in the dog bed in the corner. Then he brought a tattered little toy and dropped it near my feet. It wasn't an invitation to play, not yet, but it was a gesture, an offering. The real turning point, the moment the healing became a two-way street, was about a week in. I was having a bad day. My OCD was loud, my chest was tight, and I was stuck in a loop of irrational thoughts. I was pacing, unable to settle, just trapped in my head. And Miso, who usually kept his distance when my energy got like that, did something new. He got up, walked over, and gently pushed his head against my leg. He didn't whine or lick me. He just stood there, this solid, warm presence. It was enough to break the circuit, a jolt back to reality. Here was this little creature who had every reason to be terrified of the world, offering me comfort. And in that moment, I realized he needed me to be calm. My frantic energy was stressing him out. To comfort him, I had to figure out how to comfort myself. I sank to the floor, took a deep breath, and started petting him. I focused on the feeling of his soft fur, on the rhythm of his breathing, in, out, in and out. And as he calmed down, I did too. That was the beginning. His needs became the antidote to my own anxieties. My agoraphobia screamed at me to stay inside, but Miso needed to go for a walk, to get socialized. His excited little face and wagging tail at the sight of the became a stronger reason to go out than my fear was a reason to stay in. We started small. A quick trip to the corner, then around the block, then to the little park down the street, then around Marshall's on a daily basis. Every time we went out, it was a win for both of us. He was learning the world wasn't so scary, and so was I. He even led to small chats with other dog owners in the park, reopening a social world I thought was closed forever. Caring for him gave me a sense of purpose that my illness had stolen. My day, which used to be these formless voids of anxiety, now had a schedule. A morning walk, breakfast, playtime, dinner, evening walk. That routine, that responsibility to another being, was incredibly grounding. It pulled me out of my head and into the present moment. He needed me, and because he needed me, I had to fight for my own stability so I could give him his. We were two broken souls who, in learning to care for each other, were slowly becoming whole again. He was learning to trust and play. I was learning to breathe and leave my apartment. It wasn't just me rescuing him. In every sense of the word, he was rescuing me right back. Life with Miso became our new normal. A beautiful, happy, stable normal I truly never thought was possible for me. He's my shadow, my co-pilot, my furry little antidepressant. He's the reason I can go to the grocery store, sit in a park, and have a house filled with laughter instead of silence. And for years, I've had this profound gratitude. To him, of course, but also to those nameless, faceless foster parents. They were the first domino. Their one act of kindness started a chain reaction that completely changed my life. It felt like a debt I could never repay. But a little while ago, my partner, Dylan, and I were talking. We finally felt settled enough in Toronto to really put down roots, and we were watching Miso do zoomies around the living room. I said for the 1000th time, I'm just so grateful to his foster family. Dylan looked up at me and said, "You know, we're pretty stable now. Miso is happy. You're happy. What if we didn't have to repay that debt? What if we could pay it forward?" The words just hung in the air. Pay it forward. We had what Miso's foster family had, a safe, loving home. We had the stability I used to lack. We had the patience and understanding that we learned from our journey with Miso. We were in a position to be the bridge for another dog. Of course, the fear showed up immediately. The what-if started swirling. What will it do to Miso? How could we pour our hearts into a dog and then let them go? But we kept coming back to Miso's first family. They faced that same fear. Their goodbye was our beginning. The goal of fostering isn't to get another dog for yourself. It's to help a dog get ready for their family. Letting go isn't the failure, it's the mission accomplished. So we started looking into the practicals and found a local rescue with a foster-based model. They needed help, and operating even out of apartments in Toronto, they had a program that fit with us. We sat down and started the application together. It was very thoughtful and detailed, asking a lot about our home, lifestyle, and experience, showing they're serious about setting everyone up for success. We submitted it, and a few days later, we got an email inviting us to the next step, a Zoom interview and a virtual home tour with both Dylan and I. The interviewer was incredibly kind and supportive. It felt less like an interview and more like a conversation. She answered all our questions and stressed that they don't look for perfect people, but for life experience, patience, and empathy. At the end of the call, she told us she thought we would be great foster parents. We finished the call feeling not just approved, but seen, understood, and incredibly excited. This journey we're about to start is going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be challenging, and it's definitely going to be emotional. We want to share it with all of you, the good, the bad, the messy, thoughtfully and respectfully. If you want to follow along as we figure out how to be first-time foster parents, please take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support genuinely helps me share these stories and bring awareness to all the dogs that are still out there waiting for their chance. And will maybe even bring us an opportunity to share more stories about dogs who are looking for homes in Toronto. So here we are. We are officially on the foster roster for an agency, and things are moving fast. It feels exciting, emotional, and like a huge responsibility all at once. We just found out that they are receiving around 40 dogs this weekend, and we might be given a few dogs to choose from based on what would be the best fit for a home and for Miso. The waiting is a weird mix of nervous excitement and frantic preparation. Our prep has been happening on two fronts, practical and emotional. On the practical side, we've been dog-proofing the apartment, checking for loose wires or things a new dog shouldn't eat. We've set up a safe space for them as a quiet decompression zone with its own crate, food, and water. Even though the rescue provides supplies, we've gotten some durable chew toys and a super soft blanket ready. We also dug out the old baby gate to help manage introductions and keep everyone separated at first. But the emotional prep has been the biggest part. We've had to be brutally honest with ourselves. This isn't going to be like getting another Miso. A dog coming straight from a bad situation will be stressed and confused. We'll have to be ready for accidents, for barking, for a dog that might not want to be touched for days or weeks. Our biggest focus has been getting Miso ready. We've been brushing up on his training and giving him lots of extra one-on-one time. The new dog will be kept separate for a bit, letting them get used to the sounds and smells of our home from a distance. The first real meeting will happen outside on neutral territory. Protecting Miso's well-being is non-negotiable. We're going to follow the rescue's guidance to the letter. It's a learning curve for us too, and we know we'll need to be patient with ourselves as we figure it all out. So that's it. That's the real reason we're fostering. It's not just because we have the space or because we love dogs. We're fostering because a group of strangers chose to open their home to a scared little dog, and in doing so, they created a ripple effect I never could have imagined. They saved Miso, and Miso saved me. He was the key that unlocked my cage and helped me find my way back into the world. My life, my mental health, my happiness, it's all tied back to that one act of kindness from his foster family. I am living proof that caring for an animal in need gives you a profound sense of purpose that can help get you on the right track. Now, our home isn't a place of isolation anymore. We've moved abroad, and it's a place of safety and love. Fostering isn't just about saving a dog. It's about providing that safety and stability so they can heal. We're just trying to be a bridge, the same kind of bridge that was built for Miso, a temporary safe passage from a place of fear to a place of hope. We want to give another dog that chance to decompress, to heal, to learn and trust, and to let their true personality shine, so their perfect forever family can find them. We want to give them the chance to find their person, just like Miso found me. The empty dog bed is waiting, and so are we. Thank you so much for listening to our story. It really means the world to us. If you have a foster story of your own, I would be honored if you'd share it in the comments below. I'd love any advice you have for first-timers. And if you're thinking about fostering and have any questions, please ask them. Let's build a community of support right here. If you're in the Toronto area and our story sparked something in you, please look up Redemption Paws. The link is in the description. They're always looking for people with a little extra patience and an open heart. You don't have to be perfect to make a world of difference. Now, I'm not saying that getting a dog fixes everything. But for me, it was the spark that made me want to take care of myself for him. There's definitely a lot of work, professionals, medications that helped me get to where I am now. But with this little guy, it made that big, scary journey totally worth it. If you guys want more daily updates about our journey, how everything's going, pictures of a dog that is going to be looking for a space in our community, you can connect with me on my socials. They're linked down below. And let me know what's one small act of kindness that profoundly changed your life. All right, see you guys in the next one.